Yo, have you ever felt like you and your favorite YouTuber are basically besties? Like they tell you about their day, their struggles, their dog's weird habits, and somehow you just get them. But here's the plot twist: they don't even know you exist. That, my friends, is what we call a parasocial relationship, when you feel emotionally connected to someone who doesn't even know you personally. And trust me, this is not just a Gen Z or internet thing. It's been around for decades. So, grab a snack, sit back, and let's unpack why your brain acts like influencers are your homies, even when they don't know you from a grain of rice. Alright, let's break this down. A parasocial relationship happens when you feel emotionally attached to someone in the media. YouTubers, TikTokers, streamers, even fictional characters. It's like a one-sided friendship where you know a lot about them, but they know nothing about you. And before you go thinking, oh no, is this weird? Nope. This is totally normal. Our brains evolved for social connection, and they can't really tell the difference between in-person interactions and digital ones. Humans have always been wired for relationships. Back in the caveman days, forming strong social bonds was the difference between surviving and, well, becoming saber-toothed tiger food. Our ancestors relied on community and connection to stay alive, and that instinct hasn't gone away. Our brains still crave connection. Now, fast forward to modern times where we have this thing called mass media. It started with newspapers, then radio, then television, but it wasn't until the 1950s that researchers started noticing something really interesting. People weren't just consuming media, they were forming emotional bonds with the people in it. Back then, TV hosts like Walter Cronkite or talk show personalities like Johnny Carson weren't just news anchors or entertainers. People felt like they knew them, like they were old friends who visited their living rooms every night. This was the first real evidence of parasocial relationships in action. Then came the internet, and oh boy, if TV made people feel connected to celebrities, social media took that and cranked it up to 100. Suddenly, we weren't just watching people on a screen, we were getting direct, behind-the-scenes access to their lives. Think about it. TV stars in the past were mystical, untouchable beings. You'd see them on screen, and maybe you'd get a glimpse of them in a magazine. But now, influencers are constantly sharing updates. They vlog their daily lives. They live stream while eating cereal. They reply to comments. They ask you questions like, what should I do next? And even though it's directed at thousands or millions of people, it feels personal. That's the key difference. Old-school parasocial relationships were one-way streets. You watched, but never interacted. Today, it feels interactive, even when it's not. You can comment, they might respond, and suddenly, the line between audience and friendship blurs. But here's the thing. Just because it feels like a friendship doesn't mean it is one. And that's where things start getting really interesting. So why do parasocial relationships feel so real, so intense, and sometimes so comforting? Let's break it down into 4 big reasons, but go a little deeper. They feel relatable. The best influencers know how to mirror real life. They talk about breakups, anxiety, acne, job rejections, stuff that hits home. When someone online is vulnerable, our brain lights up in a way that mimics in-person empathy. You're like, wow, they get me. It's the same emotional response you'd have to a friend opening up to you over coffee. That shared vulnerability creates an emotional bond. They create intimacy through direct address. Ever notice how YouTubers often say, hey you, or look directly into the camera? That's no accident. It's called the parasocial cue. It mimics how people talk to friends. The eye contact, the casual tone, the personal stories. It activates parts of your brain that think, oh, we're bonding, even though logistically it's just a video. They're consistent and always there. Let's be honest, in real life, people are flaky. But your favorite YouTuber? They show up every Wednesday at 7 p.m. like clockwork. That kind of stability is rare in today's world, and it builds trust. Your brain sees that consistency as reliability, and reliable people's good friends. It gives you a sense of routine and familiarity that can be genuinely comforting. They fulfill a social void. This one's huge. Loneliness is on the rise, especially post-2020. A lot of people feel disconnected. Parasocial relationships fill that gap. They offer a low-risk, high-reward social interaction. No awkward silences, no judgment, just the feeling of being included in someone's world. Even if it's through a screen, your brain still registers it as social time. Bonus factor: the illusion of reciprocity. Some creators do reply to DMs or comments, and even if it's rare, that one time they respond, boom, instant dopamine. It tricks your brain into thinking the bond is mutual, even if it's not sustainable. The TLDR? Parasocial relationships hack your brain's social wiring. They simulate the best parts of friendship: relatability, intimacy, consistency, without the messiness of actual relationships. It's like friendship on easy mode, but that ease can come at a cost, which we'll get into next. Okay, so now that we know why parasocial relationships feel so real, let's get into the tea. Are they good or bad for us? Short answer: it's complicated. Kind of like eating Taco Bell at 2 a.m. Hits the spot, but might hit back later. Let's start with the good stuff. The good side. 1. Emotional support on demand. Watching your favorite creator talk about their bad day or just goof around can feel like emotional support in your pocket. It's comforting, like, oh, someone gets me, and in tough times, that can be a real lifeline. 2. Routine equals stability. There's something low-key magical about creators who show up like clockwork. New video every Sunday? That becomes part of your routine. It's grounding, especially when life feels chaotic. It's like having a chill friend who always shows up on time. 3. Motivation and self-improvement. Maybe you started journaling because of a lifestyle vlogger. Or you picked up art, or fitness, or therapy. Parasocial connections can inspire change. That if they can do it, maybe I can too. Energy is real. 4. Feeling seen. When someone talks about their anxiety, depression, or identity struggles, and you've been through the same thing, that's powerful. Parasocial relationships make people feel seen and heard, even in silence. The dark side. But it ain't all rainbows and comfort. Parasocial bonds can spiral into something a little off. 1. Replacing real-world relationships. If you'd rather binge 4 hours of a podcast than answer a call from your bestie, that's a red flag. Parasocial bonds feel safe. No pressure. But they can also be isolating if you start avoiding actual social interaction. 2. Blurring boundaries. Here's where things get murky. When someone shares personal details, our brains go, we're close now. But that's an illusion. You might know their dog's name and coffee order, but that doesn't mean you're actually friends. 3. Entitlement issues. Some fans feel owed things. Replies, gratitude, loyalty. But parasocial relationships are one way. If a creator changes their content or doesn't respond or messes up, that doesn't mean they betrayed you. They never owed you that closeness in the first place. 4. Emotional dependency. If your emotional state rises and falls based on whether your fav influencer posts or what mood they're in, that's a sign to take a step back. It's not your job to emotionally manage someone you've never met. Bonus: the breakup feeling. Let's be real. When your fav creator disappears, gets canceled, or changes directions, it hurts. You can feel genuinely heartbroken, like a real breakup. And that's because those emotional connections were real to you, even if they weren't reciprocal. But here's the thing. That feeling doesn't make you weird. It just proves how powerfully our brains process connection, even virtual ones. TLDR, it's all about balance. Parasocial relationships are like a spicy snack, delicious in moderation, but too much can mess you up. They can be comforting, inspiring, and even healing, but when they start replacing real-life people, that's when things can go sideways. Up next, we're diving into stan culture and what happens when fans take that connection way too far. Alright, let's talk about the wild world of stan culture. You've probably heard the term a million times. I stan this. Hardcore Swiftie, Bayhive unite, right? But here's the deal. Stanning has evolved from casual fandom into something a little extra. Like a lot extra. Being a fan? Harmless. Being a stan? You're in deep. You watch every video, know their pet's name, and you defend them like they're your actual sibling. But when that stan energy turns into over-attachment, that's when the parasocial relationship gets messy. Let's break it down. Red flags of over-attachment. 1. You feel personally attacked when someone critiques them. It's like someone insulted your actual best friend. But remember, criticism of a public figure isn't an attack on you. 2. You feel betrayed when the creator changes. Maybe they switch content, move on from a fandom, start dating someone new, and suddenly it feels like heartbreak. 3. You expect interaction. A creator skips a live stream, doesn't reply to a DM, or doesn't heart your comment, and it stings. That emotional hit is a clue the relationship feels too real. Number 4. You act like they owe you. You've watched all their content, bought their merch, supported them for years, and now you feel entitled to their attention. That's not how it works. When stan culture goes too far. Some stans don't just feel attached, they start acting possessive, they gatekeep, they police criticism, they even dox or harass people who disrespect their fave. Yeah, we're going there. And here's the twist. While it might start from love, it turns into control. Fans project their ideal version of the creator onto them, and when that person doesn't act according to that script, they flip. That's not a relationship. That's a fantasy gone rogue. Why do people get this attached? Let's be real, a lot of this comes from a very human place: loneliness. Stan communities offer a sense of belonging, identity. Some fans tie their self-worth to being part of a fandom. Control. In an unpredictable world, obsessing over a creator gives them a feeling of influence. The problem? It's one-sided. The creator is not part of that equation. They didn't sign up to be your emotional support human, therapist, or bestie. And yet, the pressure is real. Creators start feeling like they can't take breaks, can't be authentic, or can't evolve without backlash. That's burnout fuel, and it's unfair. Healthy fandom versus parasocial spiral. Let's end this part with some clarity. You can love a creator, support them, buy the merch, leave nice comments, that's all good stuff. But you've got to keep the relationship in perspective. They're a creator, not your friend, not your therapist, not your property. Support is cool. Obsession? Not so much. And if you feel like you're losing sleep over someone who doesn't know you, might be time for a little digital detox. Okay, so we've talked about the good, the weird, and the slightly terrifying parts of parasocial relationships. Now the big question: how do we keep it cute, fun, and not emotionally exhausting? In other words, how do you stay a fan without turning into an over-attached side character in your favorite creator's life? Let's break it down into a real-life toolkit for keeping parasocial relationships healthy AF. 1. Know what it is, and call it what it is. First step, awareness. Just understanding that a parasocial relationship is happening is powerful. It helps you name the feeling instead of just vibing into emotional confusion. So when you're watching a creator and thinking, wow, I feel weirdly close to them, remember, it's your brain doing brain things. You're experiencing a digital connection, not a real-life friendship. and that's okay. 2. Set mental boundaries. Ask yourself, would I expect this from someone I've never met in real life? If the answer is no, time to scale back. Creators don't owe you replies, daily uploads, or emotional labor. They're not your therapist. They're not your bestie. They're content creators, people doing a job. Healthy boundaries sound like, I enjoy their content, but I don't need to know everything about their personal life. If they stop posting, I'll miss them, but I'll be fine. They're cool, but I don't put them on a pedestal. 3. Stay grounded in real relationships. Parasocial bonds shouldn't replace actual social time. If you find yourself skipping calls or social plans just to watch a creator's new video, red flag, friend. Instead, use creators as conversation starters in real life. Did you see what posted? Share their content with friends instead of only engaging solo. Balance screen time with real time. 4. Take emotional breaks. If you're getting too emotionally wrapped up, like you're genuinely sad if a creator doesn't upload, or you're mad when they change, you may need a breather. Mute notifications. Go on a social media detox. Reconnect with hobbies or creative outlets that don't involve being online. Basically, refresh your soul. 5. Be a kind, responsible viewer. Support your favorite creators, of course, but do it with empathy. Respect their privacy. Don't demand constant updates. Don't speculate on their relationships or mental health. If they mess up, don't cancel or excuse them blindly. Give grace, but also hold them accountable like you would a real person. Because they are real people. TLDR, parasocial relationships are normal. But they're not real relationships. They can be fun, fulfilling, and even healing when they fill emotional gaps. But they aren't a substitute for human connection. And they definitely shouldn't be your main source of emotional support. So if you're vibing with a creator's content, amazing. Enjoy it. But don't build your identity around someone who doesn't know your name. Parasocial relationships aren't evil. They're just a thing our brains do. You're not weird for feeling close to someone online, but with a little self-awareness, some healthy boundaries, and a good Wi-Fi connection, you can enjoy the best parts without falling into the emotional deep end. If this blew your mind even a little, you're going to want to check out my other videos on digital culture, psychology, and why the internet messes with our heads in the weirdest ways. Trust me, it's a vibe.